Enemy inside the perimeter. Secure the HQ. The enemy's capturing the objective.
I don't fucking know. God damn.
Enemy near the HQ. Secure the perimeter. The enemy is entering our headquarters. We are gaining ground. Don't stop. The enemy destroyed our headquarters. Deploying reinforcements. Now ready to deploy.
Oh. Fucking
Headquarters. Friendly cruise missile inbound.
Oh, I'm in the game.
Shield online. Capture. Our friendly is in the area. Securing the objective now. UAV standing by.
Hell yes.
Just pretends that he likes it.
Yeah.
Jesus, Ellie.
Look at the car, the Elantra that they
I shouldn't have ran out there like that.
Reloading.
Pussy.
Tossing sticky grenade!
Stuck his ass, bro.
Wasn't gonna let that
Oh,
slide.
bitch, boy. I'm about to clip that.
LMG marked. Moving here.
Watch your six. I'm hit.
I don't fucking. God damn.
Enemy near the HQ.
Fucking
Headquarters. Friendly cruise missile inbound.
Oh, I'm in the game. I got him.
Look around! Enemy personnel at the hard point. Dropped them! Friendly on station.
Oh, fuck me.
Hard point reload. Got him on the run. Keep it up. Hostile Overwatch helo in the area. UAV ready to deploy. Friendly UAV online.
He is the man the nation was waiting for to be arrested, the suspect in the Idaho student's murder case. Now he is in custody, and prosecutors say he is the one responsible for the violent stabbing deaths of Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee in Moscow, Idaho. Tonight, we are live from Monroe County, Pennsylvania, where the accused killer made his first court appearance. What did he look like? What did he say? And where will he be next? Plus, we are live in Moscow, Idaho at the Leda County Jail, where the accused killer will be housed pending his trial for 4 counts of first-degree murder. Tonight, full coverage and all the latest information in the Idaho student's murder case.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you back with us. It's 2023. It's a new year. Now, normally you say Happy New Year, but as we talk about what happened to these Idaho students, I don't think we can say that. I think we just say it's a new year. Because for these families, the journey is just beginning. It is just starting out for them. And for them to think of the word happiness this time of year, impossible. Impossible. You've just gone through a holiday season without your son, your daughter, your sister. And now there's an arrest. And we are now in one of the process. Step. We've got an arrest. The defendant has been arrested. The accused is in custody.
Hostile Overwatch
Those
helo in
people-
the UAV ready to deploy. Friendly UAV online.
Step by step. Obviously, Court TV will be there for every step as we see what happens in the lead up to what will be a huge trial.
Hostile Overwatch
Huge
helo in
trial.
the
Investigators
UAV ready to deploy.
seem to start putting things together a little bit. You know, when this arrest broke, we had breaking news here on Court TV, and one of the things that they were saying was, hey, if you have any information about this guy,
Hostile Overwatch
about this
helo in
accused,
the
So that tells me they're confident they have the right person, but they know they need to connect everything.
Hostile
Dot the
Overwatch
I's.
helo in the area.
It's the only way.
UAV ready to deploy.
Justice is not easy. Getting justice is not a guarantee. So for prosecutors and the families, as they work through this difficult system of ours to try to get to that end point where they can finally, if they get the verdict that they want, exhale and turn the page. Turn the page so they don't have to think about, talk about, worry about this killer ever again. But we're not there. We're just in the beginning, and we've got full coverage tonight. We've got Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter live in Leda County, Idaho, outside the courthouse and jail where this accused killer will be taken once he's extradited to Idaho. And Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae is in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, where this accused appeared in court today. And we'll begin with Julie Janae and today's big headline, the hearing. What can you tell us about what happened inside that courtroom in the state of Pennsylvania where they don't like cameras?
They don't like cameras, but they did allow us as the media to be inside to watch this page turn in the process for Bryan Kohberger. He did also confirm that he felt like this was in his best interest to face these charges in Idaho and not fight extradition. He also said that he's not on any medication, didn't have any mental health issues that would prohibit him from making this voluntary decision. But seeing him inside of the courtroom today, a first time for me. Someone who seemed very confident. He kept his posture very erect, head held high when he walked in, and seemed stoic for the most part. But when he locked eyes with his family on that front row of the gallery, that's when you saw the emotion. He did a lot of nodding to the judge when she was asking him those questions, seeming to tell her he understood this, that this is a process that he's been informed of, and he understands where things are going from here. Here's a listen to the district attorney here in Monroe County who had an idea of why he believes that waiver is coming so quickly from this suspect.
It is a quirk, apparently. It's not in the norm of the states I'm familiar with that Idaho does not release their probable cause affidavit in support of their arrest warrant until after their defendant is returned to that state. But having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents.
And there's a lot of people who wanted to know, needed to know here at the courthouse today. There were cars upon cars of media watching and waiting for what was going to happen. This courtroom sat 200 people, and most of those chairs were filled up today. Here's a look at what it looked like outside today. For most of the day, there was a lot of security that was needed to block off the roads. These officers wanted to make sure that Kohberger was safe coming in and out. They didn't announce exactly how he was going to be getting in, but we did get that video of him arriving at the courthouse today. The same stance that we saw inside of the courtroom, but again, a lot of security, both inside of the courtroom, those officers walking around with long guns, but also outside and even on the roofs of some of these buildings, just standing guard here in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
You know, such a great point made about that probable cause affidavit, because that's where the details are. That's the first peek in getting some insight into what type of evidence investigators gathered and prosecutors have in Idaho. but he doesn't get to see that until he gets to Idaho. I mean, it's not just about the public getting to see it. It's the defendant himself will not know or understand how or why he was arrested until he gets to Idaho. So he may be in a rush there, because we think of this guy and his background. This is what he has studied. This is what he's made his sort of life. Unbelievable. So let's talk about his arrest. This all took place in Pennsylvania. It caught a lot of people by surprise, because we know that this quadruple murder took place 2,500 miles away.
Vinny, I remember how shocked we were last week when we were breaking this news on our air and realizing that this was happening in a city that was completely off of our radar in terms of where they might find a suspect. But this happened at his parents' house. It's something we learned today in a press conference from the Pennsylvania State Police, that they had to force their way into this home, that they broke windows going in. We have some aerial shots of this neighborhood, the Indian Mountain Lake community. It's private and gated. We tried to approach it yesterday just to see if we could get a sense of where this all happened, but you can't get in. Security threw us off of the property almost immediately. It's a community that neighbors around here say was very quiet, that not much happened here, and that this is a resort area. This is a place that people come to relax and to get away, not a place they would expect such attention on such a
Friendly bomb drone is online.
from the parents that
10 seconds remaining. Hostile airstrike near your location.
that semester.
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
And they said they will continue to let the process unfold as a family. Son and brother, we have
UAV ready to deploy. Mission updated. Hardpoint. Mission compromised.
and make erroneous assumptions. And there was a lot of emotion from them today inside of that courtroom watching this. They just look heartbroken.
Were any more details released about, taking him into custody? They had to break windows and break into the home. Were they not answering the door? Did they want to take him by surprise? Was there any sort of other information revealed about that?
It was happening.
Enemy! Friendly bomb drone is online.
They wanted to make sure him, and they had 3 different types of search warrants. One for the house, one for
Hostile airstrike near your location.
where they would be
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
To be able to look at the car.
UAV ready to deploy. Mission updated. Hardpoint. Mission compromised.
This was the best way to find him because he's 2,500 miles away from where this incident happened.
So, Julie, when I think of this,
Hostile airstrike near your location.
big part
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
is in Pennsylvania, and he was just going to school in Washington State on the border of Idaho. So the
Hostile airstrike near your location.
is
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
Pennsylvania, where he went to school, and he went to high school and college in Pennsylvania, correct?
He did. He went to high school here at Pleasant Valley High School, and then about a decade later, he went to school security officer.
Hostile airstrike near your location.
Here,
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
He was on that property or as a guard. We also know that he graduated from DeSales University.
Hostile airstrike near your location. Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
And there's a
Ready to deploy.
raised a lot of red flags for people who are following this case closely in terms of what he was studying and how far it was going. He was calling for participants, or someone with his name was calling for participants who was a student at DeSales University. They would not confirm or deny if he was in fact carrying out this study, but we were able to find an archived internet page that was actually on the official website for that university, and it's asking for people to detail their most recent criminal offense, and to list whether they were caught or not. And in the event that they were not charged or convicted, it says we will still allow you to participate in the research. So giving us an idea of what he may have been researching and who he may have been in communication with when he was getting that degree.
That's and you know, that could be another part of the story. And you know, we heard from investigators. We want to find out more about this guy, Well, you've got teams of journalists like you scouring information, and obviously investigators gathering as much background as possible to try to figure out, you know, why and who exactly is this guy? Because ultimately, if you bring him to trial, you've got to tell the jury a story. You've got to tell them about who he is and why he did this. And it's such a significant part of it. How about the folks that you've just kind of been running into in a very small
The enemy has the lead.
in Pennsylvania? I mean, as shocked as the folks were out in Moscow when all this happened.
So surprised, Vinny. Just surprised at the attention that is now on their town.
UAV ready to deploy.
Heard, many of the people we've talked to, they'd heard of what happened in Idaho, but had no indication that that kind of attention or that a suspect could be here. The ones that we've talked to didn't know him, but know people who knew him, people who went to school with him, because
The enemy's
it
gaining
isn't
ground.
very
Push them
far.
back.
We're talking about where his high school would be, where his college would be. The young man that we spoke to today was caught on guard how many people were here interested in this case.
Hostile cluster mine deployed.
It's just
Standing by.
we go to the stores here, and this person was among us. So it's kind of
Friendly bomb drone is online. Fire! Seconds remaining. Hostile airstrike near your location.
A lot of people out here.
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
They're also very much concerned about the attention that is disruption should be over at this point.
UAV ready to deploy. Mission update. Hardpoint.
The site of the story, first time inside that.
UAV is bingo fuel. RTB at this time. Enemies inside the perimeter.
Later on, we're going to bring Chandler Painter.
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by.
Documented in the low country of South Carolina, the first huge
Taking the lead.
Off my dick, ho.
on his wife and son.
UAV is bingo fuel. RTB at this time. Enemies inside the perimeter.
Will be inside the courtroom.
Confirming next hardpoint. Stand by. Taking the lead.
Considering having himself killed.
Guys, UAV is exiting the AO.
Jade Jenks, accused of killing her stepfather.
UAV standing by. Locating the next hardpoint. Get ready.
She buried him under the trash.
Our mortar strike is found. Missile ready for launch.
Bro, I'm posting on, nigga.
Move to the hardpoint.
On Court TV.
Take a look, folks. Body cam footage from December 15th. Behind the wheel, the accused man
Guys, UAV is exiting the AO.
was fired.
UAV standing by.
Unbelievable.
Locating the next
Pulled
hardpoint. Get ready.
over in Indiana, December
Our mortar strike is found.
2022, a little more than 2 weeks before being arrested. All right, let's bring in Court TV legal team. Chandler Painter joining us live tonight from Moscow, Idaho. Chandler, great to see you.
UAV standing by.
Out there,
Locating the next
I
hardpoint. Get
understand.
ready.
Thank you so much for joining us. We were just looking at that
Our mortar strike is found.
footage. Can you fill in the blanks a little bit? Give us some context and perspective on where that body cam comes from, where they were headed, etc.
Yeah, Brian Kohberger with his father. So what has been reported is that Kohberger's father flew here to the Pullman, Washington, Moscow, Idaho area to meet his son to make that 2,500-mile trek to Pennsylvania in that white Hyundai Elantra. Along the way, being pulled over at least a couple of times. What we see there, the body cam, one of those times of being pulled over. And Pullman, Washington is where he lived. He has an apartment there. I was there earlier today. It's about 9.3 miles from where I am now in Moscow, Idaho, like a 20-minute drive, Vinny, from where I am, where you would make it to Washington State University campus, those on-campus apartments there. And then from Pullman, Washington, that drive all the way across the country to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, like I said, 2,546 miles to be exact. Vinny, that takes a while to drive across country, and that's where that body cam video was from that you just played. And again, back at this apartment complex, 20 minutes from where I am, we spoke to several neighbors. We learned that his apartment was Unit 201 on the second floor of Building G, and that